Hello ladies and gents, once again, hope everyone's doing alright. We're going to be jumping back into Assassin's Creed 1 yet again. I hope everyone enjoyed the first part. We're actually going to be jumping into the next part of this, which will continue where we left off. Altair, the last time we saw, was stabbed and was killed for his crimes. And in this next part, we'll actually see what happens to Desmond in this next bit as well. So, yeah, straight on to Memory Block 1. And we're going to see where we got left off with this. I hope you guys like the little sneak peek at the end as well. We're going to be doing those with each part, I think.
He's experiencing a far better adoption
So
rate
with
than
this
the
bit,
other
we
subjects.
saw this bit, so I'm actually going to skip this on to when we actually go to
not
bed.
yet. We're still so far.
Gotta say, that's a little creepy, Doc. Waking up to you standing over me. You been watching me sleep?
We're always watching you. Now get up. We've got a lot of work to do.
Ooh, wonder who I get to kill today.
Don't be so cavalier. Your ancestors almost had the right idea, Mr. Miles. If the deaths of a few people, evil people, no less, could save the lives of thousands more, well, it seems a small sacrifice.
What do you mean, almost?
They didn't go far enough. To use a rather tired analogy, corruption is no different than cancer. Cut out the tumors, but fail to treat the source and, well, you're buying time at best. There's no true change to be had without comprehensive, systemic intervention.
Chemo for the masses.
Education, re-education, to be more precise. But it's not easy, and it doesn't always take.
Let me guess. You've got a better solution. What is it then?
Now that would be telling.
That's almost a little bit of a sneak peek into what they're actually got up the sleeves for the future. It's a bit of a shame, really. Right, one thing we're going to do, because this is like the next sort of present day segment, so to speak, there's one or two things that we're going to have to do. One of them, and I think it's going to have to be after this next segment that we do, you'll notice that on Warren's pocket there's something flashing inside his pocket. That is essentially a USB drive that will allow us to unlock a little bit of information.
Have a seat on the Animus, Desmond.
Within Abstergo itself, and it also gives a little bit of information a bit more about the law and things like that. We have to make sure that we pick that up once we leave the Animus. But with that, we're going to jump straight in. This time we get a little bit more functionality of the Animus itself. We get to choose different options and things like that. We can just continue to load the latest memory, but we can actually have a good look round.
Start your memory already.
So we were at Solomon's Temple. We are now going to be jumping into the next memory block. With that in mind, guys, I have also been reading up on the Secret Crusade again. I've been reading a little bit further on this, and I've actually found certain things that were a little bit interesting about certain characters. I'm just going to continue this. So throughout, I've actually written some notes down for this, and there are some little bits and pieces that we can talk about with this, which is quite nice.
Alive. But I saw you stab me. Felt death's embrace.
You saw what I wanted you to see, and then you slept the sleep of the dead, of the womb, that you might awake and be reborn.
To what end?
Do you remember, Altair, what it is the assassin fight for?
Peace. In all things.
Yes, in all things. It is not enough to end the violence one man commits upon another. It refers to peace within as well. You cannot have one without the other.
So it is said.
So it is! But you, my son, have not found inner peace. It manifests in ugly ways. You are arrogant and overconfident.
Were you not the one to say that nothing is true and everything is permitted?
You do not understand the true meaning of the phrase, my child. It does not grant you the freedom to do as you wish. It is a knowledge meant to guide your senses. It expects a wisdom you clearly lack.
Then what is to become of me?
I should kill you for the pain you've brought upon us. Malik thinks it only fair. Your life in exchange for his brother's. But this would be a waste of my time and your talents. You'll see you have been stripped of your possessions, your rank as well. You are a novice, a child once more, as you were on the day you first joined our order. I am offering you a chance at redemption. You'll earn your way back into the Brotherhood.
I assume you've something planned.
First, you must prove to me you remember how to be an assassin.
So you'd have me take a life?
No, not yet at least. For now, you're to become a student once again.
There is no need for this.
Others tracked your targets for you, but no more. From today on, you will track them yourself.
If this is what you wish,
It is.
then tell me what it is that I must do.
We have been betrayed. Someone was assisting Robert de Sable, one of our own. You must find him and bring him here for questioning.
What can you tell me of the traitor?
But that's just it. I've given you all I will. The rest is up to you.
So, throughout that conversation, there are certain things that have happened. It says that we've been demoted, so basically we've lost all of our rank, all of our weapons, all of our abilities, we have lost everything. Which is a bit of a strange one for this. Al-Mualim explains that Altair technically died throughout that sort of ordeal. And in the book, it actually just pretty much states that he does feel that he actually died during that segment. Whether he did or not is up for questioning. But when it comes to sort of this whole segment of trying to find this target, in the book, this actually never happens. This next segment that we're actually going to go into is actually not in the book about trying to find this traitor. This whole bit does not exist in the book.
Safety and peace, Altair.
You're in my way.
Yes, Al-Mualim has asked that I assist you. Remind you how it is we hunt our prey.
I know how it works.
Be that as it may, I have no desire to disobey.
Then be quick.
The Assassin have many tools at their disposal.
Yes. We can eavesdrop, we can pickpocket, or we can use violence to intimidate.
Good, you remember.
So you'd have me walk amongst the others and learn what I can about the traitor?
Yes. Begin by going to the village market. That's where we first spotted the traitor.
You know who it is?
Perhaps.
Then give me a name and let's be done with it.
That's not the way it works. Now go. And remember, begin your search in the village market.
So, the way that this works is, Altair is now he's pretty much a novice. He is basically a recruit. He's a beginner again. And we know the reasons why he's been demoted. We know the reasons why he basically broke the 3 tenets of the creed itself, which is the stay away from the flesh of an innocent, never compromise the Brotherhood, and what was the third one? And stick to the shadows, I think it was as well. So basically try and be as stealthy as you can and not actually compromise yourself more than anything, which then leads into the third tenet as well, so that's a bit of an awkward one. But yeah, with this now, he is down to basically a beginner status. With this in mind, a lot of people, including myself, actually speculated, what does a novice actually do in this case? Well, a novice would not have a blade, for one, to actually go about as they wish and kill whoever they wanted, so they will never have a hidden blade in this case. That is from what I understand. Now, because they skipped this segment in the book, even though he is a novice at this point, they still give him a hidden blade to use. But he actually doesn't do this segment. He actually goes after his first target, which is going to be our next segment to go into. This segment is basically used as a sort of tutorial sequence on what we are going to be doing throughout this game. And a lot of the time, you're going to be walking around, checking out investigations and things like that, but as we go through this tutorial, explain that a little bit more, and as you go through it more, it'll also explain it a bit more in depth into what you're going to be doing and what it actually takes to do a lot of these different things. And with that in mind, there may be some areas where I might fill in some lore gaps and bits and pieces, which is what we're going to do now. I didn't fully explain in the last part Abbas's sort of role when it came to the Assassin's Creed itself, and that is mainly, or not necessarily his role, but we can sort of go into a bit of a backstory with this character, and that is what something is actually gone into the books a little bit more in depth as well, which is quite nice to actually read, if anything. Eavesdrop. Sit on a nearby bench and lock onto the target to begin the eavesdrop. So there is a bench nearby that we can use. And this is another one of the hiding spots that we could use in the tutorial as well. So with that, we'll jump on here. You lock on. You listen.
I know what I saw. Musun opened the gate. He let the Templars in.
Then you must tell Al-Mualim.
I can't. Masun did not act alone. Someone inside the fortress helped him.
What makes you say this?
He exchanges letters with someone inside. The basket weaver carries them for him.
That's no reason to stay silent.
Ah, but the weaver delivered him a letter just before the attack. I suspect it held the order to open the gate.
Then speak to the weaver. He can name Masun's accomplice.
He's disappeared, hiding for fear of being dragged into this.
Probably inside one of his own baskets.
And with that, we know who we're looking for. Not necessarily the target, but we know exactly who it is we're looking for. Our next lead is probably the best way of putting it. So Abbas, when it comes to the main storyline, he really has nothing to do with this game apart from seeing him in the very beginning. We never really see Abbas again after this. And if we do, it's not really worth mentioning. It's probably the best way of putting it. So I'm going to be going through a little bit of Abbas's and Altair's background. So Altair, when he was young, basically... Oh yeah, let me just check my notes right quick. So, back when Saladin's army was still going through the Holy Land and bits and pieces, he had come across the actual Assassin's group itself, so he actually went to outside... I can't even visual properly. He basically positioned himself outside the gates, ready to attack. Al-Mualim sent a assassin called Umar. Not Umar, it was Ahmad, sorry. Ahmad Sofyan or something. I think his second name was Sofyan, I believe it was. And unfortunately, this was not to assassinate the Sultan. It was actually to give him a message of peace more than anything.
Please, just one. We lost everything in the attack and have no place to store our grain.
I can't right now. I'm busy.
Is this about the letter?
What letter?
The letter you received when I got here. Bad news?
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I'll see what I can do, but please, I need to be alone right now. Come back later.
As you wish.
So we need to pickpocket this guy. This should be pretty easy to do, actually. So, Ahmed got into the Sultan's tent and dropped the message off. Upon exiting the tent, he was found by a guard and ended up having to kill the guard, unfortunately. Now, with this in mind, unfortunately, he was captured. The man who was with him, in terms of the other assassin, was called Umar ibn Lahad, Altair's father in this case. He was the one who told Al-Mualim what had happened, and it turned out that Umar was the one that killed one of the Sultan's guard. With that in mind, there was a very strong exchange of words between both the Sultan's father and... I'm just going to come up on this side objective in a minute. So between both these characters, they both basically sent out to do this job. One had killed a guard, and the Sultan's father was basically got involved in talks with Al-Mualim. With this, he wanted to exchange the killer in question as like an eye for an eye sort of situation. After a bit of a heated exchange, Umar, Altair's father, exchanged his life for Ahmed. we actually find out that after this happened, Umar was decapitated. Altair unfortunately saw his father for the very last time before he was killed. And this sort of stained Altair's very early life, because he had lost pretty much his whole life.
And more will follow unless you repent. Give up your wicked ways. Rise up against the madman of Masyaf. See through his lies.
And with this in mind, Umar actually asked Al-Mualim before he went out to be executed to take his son on as a novice. Al-Mualim since then has actually granted that to Altair and trained him as his own son. And unfortunately, because Altair is an orphan, because his mother actually died during childbirth, Altair's pretty much been on his own. The Creed is his family. The people that he is with are his family. Al-Mualim is basically sort of his father. And this is the sort of motivation that he has to sort of better himself throughout this game. And it's a bit surprising actually when you see certain things about Altair come forth in the story. It actually makes him a lot more a better character. Let's get this guy sorted out a bit. Can't hit him when he's down.
Enough! I yield! I yield!
Speak quickly then. I've no interest in your games. Why did you betray us? And who do you serve?
We serve the Templars. You should too. Their cause is just.
We?
Jamal. He told me of their plans. Asked me to open the gate.
You betrayed us. We, who called you brother and kept you safe from harm.
I did what I believed was right. And if you must kill me for it, so be it. I am not afraid to die.
Your fate is not for me to decide. It's Al-Mualim who will judge.
Fast-forwarding memory to a more recent one.
You stand accused of betraying our brotherhood and opening the way for our enemies. How do you answer to these charges?
I deny nothing. I'm proud of what I did. My only regret is that they failed.
I offer you a chance to repent, to renounce the evil in your heart.
It is not evil in my heart, but truth. I will not repent.
Then you will die. You did well, Altair, and have earned the right to carry a blade once more.
What will become of the one who helped him?
It remains to be seen. Some do ill out of ignorance or fear. These men can be saved. Others suffer from corrupted wills, their minds poisoned and twisted. These men must be destroyed. Soon enough, we'll know what sort of man Jamal is.
I've passed your test then. What now?
Oh, my child. We've only just begun. I hold here a list. 9 names adorn it. 9 men who need to die. They are plague bringers, war makers. Their power and influence corrupts the land and ensures the Crusades continue. You will find them. Kill them. In doing so, you'll sow the seeds of peace, both for the region and for yourself. In this way, you might be redeemed.
9 lives in exchange for mine.
A most generous offer, I think. Have you any questions?
Only where I need begin.
Very well. Ride for Damas. Seek out the black market merchant named Tamir. Let him be the first to fall. Be sure to visit the city's assassin bureau when you arrive. I'll dispatch a bird to inform the Rafik of your arrival. Speak with him. You'll find he has much to offer.
If you believe it best.
I do. Besides, you cannot begin your mission without his consent.
What nonsense is this? I don't need his permission. It's a waste of time.
It's the price you pay for the mistakes you've made. You answer not only to me, but all the Brotherhood as well now.
So be it.
Take your equipment and go. Prove that you are not yet lost to us.
You will notice a hidden blade on the table that he's about to put on. And that is what we are going to be using. So technically in the book, by this point, he's already a novice. And there are some slight things with this that kind of open up a bit more opportunities to talk about these bits and pieces. So we're actually on our way to Jerusalem. Now, in terms of going to Jerusalem, we're actually set, in terms of the timeline, we're actually set 3 years after Salah ad-Din's actually taken over Jerusalem by this point. So Richard the Lionheart hasn't actually taken it over as of yet. Salah ad-Din's taken the place for the time being.
Do not fully understand what it is to wield the blade.
I'm just going to cut over this a little bit. This particular bit happens every now and again when we get a new rank or get a new upgrade. And it's just a quick tutorial on how to basically do what you need to do.
You must be busy. I understand.
And we're actually just going to quit this bit because it's quite easy to know what we're doing. We don't really need to do anything else. Combo killing included. We know pretty much what we're doing with this. So we're just going to move on with that one. But yeah, there are certain things we're going to be talking about through this. So with Jerusalem being taken over by Saladin by this point, we're going to have to be a little bit careful about the whole thing. And we're actually going to continue with Abbas's father's story with this. So when it came to Altair's father being killed, we actually find out not long after this happens that Altair comes across Abbas, who's also a young pupil like himself, and he finds out that Ahmed was actually Abbas's father. And Abbas feels greatly ashamed by this point that he feels that he actually killed Altair's dad, and both of them were pretty much brothers. They were, I'd like to think they were best of friends. It's probably the best way of putting it. And with this in mind, it sort of changed Ahmad. What had actually happened had changed him. And unfortunately, this further led to Altair having nightmares about seeing his dad being killed, and feeling that Ahmed was somewhat responsible for what happened. And with this in mind, Ahmed felt just as responsible as what Altair felt. And unfortunately, Ahmed made his way into Altair's quarters one particular evening, and the last words that were said of Ahmed was, "I'm sorry," and he slit his own throat. He committed suicide in front of Altair, and Altair was absolutely devastated by this. It was considered by Al-Mualim a very dishonourable way to end your own life. Take in mind, back then it was talking about Christianity and Catholicism and things like that, where suicide was very much frowned upon, and in this case it is sort of dishonourable in Ahmed's case, unfortunately. And since then, Al-Mualim has actually asked Altair to make sure that he does not say what happened to Ahmed in the tent, because if this ever gets back to Abbas, it could actually spread to Abbas as well. He may feel guilty enough to actually kill himself as well. That's what Al-Mualim believed. And for all these years, Altair's protected him like a brother. Even though they hate each other, he's never wanted to hurt him, ever.
Should you cause a disturbance, it is wise to leave the area.
It is a very unfortunate case of events. So now we're actually into the Holy Land at the moment, and we're actually going to be heading to our first sort of viewpoint that we can sort of synchronise the area. So basically, we're going to be making sure that we can scan these areas and make sure we can actually get a full coverage of the map. And what I'm actually going to be doing, guys, for this playthrough, I hope this actually will help as well with the run of time. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making sure that we can skip these certain bits along. So when you're going from place to place and going from like Jerusalem, Acre and Damascus and things like that, we're actually going to be skipping these along in the video just to help with runtime and things like that, and so that we're not really recording sort of unnecessary footage. It's probably the best way of putting it. Unless asked otherwise by the commenters, if anyone wants to actually see these segments, that is completely down to you, but we're not going to be doing anything apart from going from point A to point B. And that's about it for that one. So let me get my horse back. Didn't mean to do that. So yeah guys, I do apologise for having a bit of a cough. I have got a bit of a sore throat at the moment. And I'm still waiting to hear back from my COVID test results for that one as well. So we'll see what happens. But yes, with this in mind, this is probably going to be skipped along a little bit. So by the next cut, we'll see you guys in Jerusalem. Right guys, we've arrived in Jerusalem. Let's make us way towards the front gates. Wow. It's a big ass city. It's a really big city. Right, and with this in mind, I just want to give a little bit of a quick topic as well. So when you save citizens in this, they will actually help you in return. Let me just get off my horse. There we go. So, so with this, we have to try and save them. It's a bit out of here for attacking guards just for the sake of it, but so sometimes the music can be a bit loud with this, so it sometimes drowns the voices out. He's basically thanking us for helping him out, which is a bonus. With this, we should get access to scholars, which fortunately enough look like what we're wearing. With this in mind, we can sneak past the gates, and with this in mind, hit A once, and you get to put into a sort of a permanent blend with the scholars. With this, we can get past any security guard checkpoints, whereas before, I would not get access to the city whatsoever. So with this, we're actually going to use these scholars to get through the main gates. We could actually just jump onto the barriers at top and make us way above, which, believe it or not, they won't see us, but this is a much more covert way of doing it as well. So, in Jerusalem, back in the first memory segment, or back in the first part, we were actually in a massive tomb looking for this artifact. That was actually Solomon's tomb that was actually a little bit surprising to see. And take in mind, this is like the rough date of when Solomon's tomb was actually built by King Solomon himself. It was actually around 960 BC, or somewhere around that area. That's hopefully something that we're going to be looking into with the later games that actually go a lot further back than this. But at the point when this was released, which we're going to exit this blend now, let's save this other citizen as well for our escape route.
Won't forget it.
Bless him. So that's our sort of escape route out the front gates sorted out for us. Now, we are going to make our way to a viewpoint and look for the Assassin's Bureau itself. I do apologise for having slight hiccups, guys. And, yeah, so it's one of them that Jerusalem is quite a big city. There's a lot of different things that we've got to do, so to speak. Viewpoint synchronization is one of the things that we actually do need to be doing. A lot of the higher towers that are in the city are actually the viewpoints themselves. With this first one, we actually find the Assassin's Bureau almost straight away. It'll actually come up on the side of the map as well. And yeah, it's something a little bit interesting. We've actually just unlocked as well our first two investigation areas as well, which the viewpoints can actually do help with quite a lot. But what we're actually going to do first is actually head to the Assassin's Bureau itself, as well as getting some collectibles as well. And yeah, it's a bit of an awkward bit of situation, because the first person that we're actually going to be seeing is a man called, is it Tariq? Not Tariq. That's my bad. I've got his name wrong. Rafik, sorry. And so let's just go onto the floor, actually, and just make his way. And Rafik is a character that actually helps the Assassin's Bureau out in gathering information, gathering target information in particular, and also just keeping an eye on the cities and informing Al-Mualim of any changes in government or any changes in leaderships or anything like that. And it's just so that we're actually brought up to date on what is actually happening within the city itself. And this is how we would get into the actual bureau itself. Here we go.
Altair, it is good to see you, and in one piece.
You as well, friend.
I am sorry for your troubles.
Think nothing of it.
A few of your brothers were here earlier, in fact. Oof, if you'd heard the things they said, I'm certain you'd have slain them where they stood.
It's quite all right.
Yes, you've never been one for the creed, have you?
Is that all?
I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget myself. What business brings you to the mass?
A man named Tamir. Al-Mualim takes issue with the work he does. I am meant to end it. Now tell me where to find him.
Surely you remember how to track an enemy.
Of course. Learn where he will be and when. But that sort of work is best left for...
I understand. Go and search the city. Determine what he's planning and where he works. Preparation makes the victor.
What can you tell me of him?
Tamir makes his living as a black market merchant, so the souk district should be your destination. I would suggest you seek out the following places. A small souk northeast of here, the madrasa to our east, and in the gardens north of this bureau. Focus on these places and he should become well known to you.
I assume you want me to return to you when this is done.
Yes. Come back to me. I'll give you Al-Mualim's marker and you'll give us Tamir's life.
As you wish.
Remember, Altair, if you find yourself in trouble and the city turned against you, return to the bureau. I can shelter you from the storm. Be warned though, if your enemies are too close, my door will remain closed until you've lost them. Do you understand?
Yes. To bring the enemy inside would compromise the Brotherhood.
Very well. Off you go.
And that is Rafik, ladies and gents. Quite a helpful guy as well. But yeah, the sort of like the rankings of the Assassin's Creed itself is something that's a little bit interesting. It's something that I sort of take a little bit of speculation with. When it comes to novices and things like that, I actually believe that a lot of novices will actually be working in sort of like the Assassin's Bureaus, gathering information, being essentially scouts more than anything for the Order itself, and making sure that certain bits of information are passed along a lot better than what they normally would be. But in this case, it's a little bit strange, to say the least. What we're actually going to do is we're going to be going on the shop floor. We're actually going to be making sure that we can have a look round for... we're going to be looking for certain informants that can help us out. Now, we need to find, I believe, there's only 2 parts of the investigation that we need to actually unlock the assassination attempt. But in all honesty, we could just get 3, and I think I know roughly where I need to go. But it's trying to find that right person. That person up top of there is an informant who actually will give us a piece of information for doing a task, basically. We're actually not going to take that on. Not as of yet, anyway. Whoa! Templar. Right. These guys are like sort of collectibles that you have to kill throughout the game. They instantly recognise you straight away. And we have to make sure that we do take these guys out. That shit. Alright, we just need to make sure we're deflecting this guy. There we go. Chuck him into this area and get the hell out of there. Right. So, yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one in all honesty. So we're going to be sort of slicing this up into parts for this bit. We are actually going to... I'm actually going to cut this part off for now for the next part. Hopefully by the time when the next part comes in, we'll actually go and assassinate Tamir. And with that in mind, guys, I'd like to say a very special thank you to you all for watching. If you want to hit that like button, subscribe and share this video with your friends, you can do. And yeah, with that in mind, guys, I hope to see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for any updates. Thanks so much, guys. See ya.